everybody, welcome back to Mel's Board Game Room. So I am doing my top 9 game of all the games that I have played during the month of August. Because we're partway through September already. It's been a busy September already because my youngest started college and we only found out that he got in res like the day before the weekend. And then he was going in right after that weekend. So it was a really busy couple days. So there weren't a lot of board games played during those few days, but August was not too bad. Let's have a look at the stats. So in August, I played 40 games or 40 plays of 31 different games. Now, if you notice, the 23rd was kind of heavy for games, and that's because it was FallCon. I got to attend FallCon 38. I was live streaming and I did lots of like interviews and stuff. So there wasn't tons and tons of game that got played. Definitely, if I just attend a convention over stream at a convention, I get to play a lot more, but it was a lot of fun. 2% of my base collection got played and H indexes too. So that means 2 games have been played twice. There was a lot of different games getting played. I wasn't playing a whole lot of stuff multiple times apparently. But it was FallCon, so I purchased a lot of games. I got tons of games sent to me just before FallCon as well. So that kind of doesn't help for my like base collection because it grows faster than I'm playing them right now. All right, let's have a look at the top 9. So in number 9 position for the month of August, we have Humbug, and specifically it was Deckbuild the Halls. So Humbug is a game that I had kickstarted and it was just delivered this summer. I actually did a live stream of this one with one of the co-designers because it's Humbug and the 12 games of Christmas. So utilizing all the same cards, and I'll kind of show you. So they have like 1, 1, 2, 2s, 3, 3s, and so on. And they have all these different cards and some tokens. So utilizing the same component, 12 different designers got together and designed a version of that particular game. Now, I had played Duncan's prototype when he was working on this, and it had blown me away because this was the first time I haven't played a trick-taking game that also involved deck building, hence the name Deckbuild the Hall. And I was so impressed with that game when I played it, and then we got to play it again. And with Duncan, actually, so I live streamed that over the channel. It's still so good. It's just such a unique combination. I still haven't come across any other game that kind of combines those two mechanism, and it works so well. Now, I lost. I think I lost. I'm pretty sure I lost, but the game is so interesting. I haven't yet tried the other 11 games for Humbug, so I'll be sure to start kind of tweaking those, and hopefully I get them all before Christmas this year. But so Humbug, Deckbuild the Halls was my number 9. Now, I want to say one thing I really like about it is they have a little card with an intro of how it works for each game and the complexity level and the number of players and how the time length for each one of those different games. And then the rule book has kind of tabs to show you where in the rule book the rules is for specific games. So this game is really well designed. All right, moving on to number 8. My number 8 in the month of August is Raising Robots. So I had a game day. I had a few friends come over, and we ended up getting this one to the table, which was good. Somebody was teaching it, I think, at FallCon, and they wanted to play it so that it was fresh in their mind. And we got to play it, and I forgot how good this game is. Now, this game oftenly gets compared to Wingspan just because the deck building portion, or not the deck building portion, but the engine building portion is very similar, where you acquire cards and you can add cards, and then when you activate one location, you get to activate everything in that row. So you kind of want to make sure that you get cards that works well together, ideally, if you can, in that row. Action selection is really interesting, and that one kind of reminds me more of Roll for the Galaxy. And what I mean by that is you'll have kind of cards and you'll decide which action you're going to activate. And be like, okay, so I think I'm going to activate this action. And depending on the card you have, it might be adding different values to that card. Some is like value for yourself, but some is values for like everybody, and everybody will get to take over that bonus value for that action when they activate it. So, and then it gotta get shown. So any actions that are activated by all the players is technically available to you. Now, some of them will have like those nice big yellow energy kind of added to it, so it has bonus value, so you can do more with it. So even though you were not planning on doing it, you got that extra value on it. So, oh, well, I guess I could do a little bit of that if, you know, like if you have things for that. Now, you'll be where you can trade your resources. One action allows you to add a robot into your timeline. And then the other ones is activating the different robots lineup that you have built, or ideally if you have built. You do start with one in each, or you start with 2 robots, I think, at the beginning of the game. And then the resource is kind of tracked on this at the top. So the more you have, you just kind of move it up. And then if you have less, you move it down. And your points also track that way as well. Now, theme is super cute because it's kind of like your kid in for like geniuses designing robots in school. So in the robots, the artwork is very whimsical. It's a lot of fun. But this is a bit of a complex game. I wouldn't say it's a kid's game. There's a lot going on with it. It was really interesting, and I enjoyed playing it again. So that was my number 8. In number 7 position, we have Park Life. So Deluxe Hedgehog Edition, and this is a trick-taking game by Charming Game. Now, first of all, Charming Game probably makes the most adorable games out there. And then these particular one came like with the deluxe version, comes with a little plushy bag that you can carry the game in. So I have a little plushy hedgehog that kind of looks a bit like Minecraft because it's like cube. Same with the otter, because I got the Park Life and the otter. But Park Life, I was impressed. I'm a big fan of trick-taking games. And then when we played it, so with this particular one is we're selling depending on what's happening with the weather. So if it's raining, we're selling umbrellas. If it's very hot, we're going to be selling ice cream. You know, if it's very cold, then we're selling hot chocolate and so on. And those are the different suits. But because we're selling, the winner of the trick is whoever has the best price. So the lowest number wins the trick. And you don't have to follow suit. But if you win, and then depending on what you win, so you'll start, you know, like if I start with a sun, then the lowest sun card is going to win that particular trick. Now, whoever the winner is, at the side of the card, it shows little cards with like a cross out red across it. And then you have to discard that out of your hand. So, and the point value to the card that you collected becomes the score that you win for that particular trick. So you only collect the one card, yours, and it's whichever one is the lowest. So if you win with the 1, that's great. You start the next trick. You won that trick. You only have to discard 1 card, but you only got 1 point. Now, if you win with the 10, you have to discard, I think it's like 4 or 5 cards. So you discard a lot of cards, but that's 10 points. But it's really hard to win with a 10 because that is the highest number. So you may be like, it was interesting playing it, trying to figure out what strategy am I trying to do here. So it kind of makes sense to get rid of the 1. So if somebody's playing something and you're like, hey, well, I don't really want, so I'm going to discard maybe a 1 so that of a different suit so that I don't win this trick, but I'm also not stuck with a single point down the road. And you're trying to keep maybe a couple of big numbers so that hopefully by the end, you haven't discarded a lot of cards. People start, because you can discard cards and be like, okay, next trick, well, I have no cards left. So you're just done. Then the other players keep going until everybody's gotten rid of all of their cards. So if you do that and you manage to hold on to some cards and then be like, hey, well, everybody's out or everybody's got barely any cards left and I'm going to play a 10 of rain, hoping that there's no more rains left in their hand, then I would win with a 10. Now I'm discarding 4 or 5 cards, so that would be my last card of the tricks, more than likely. But it was so interesting. And then having to figure out that mechanism, I really, really enjoyed that. And that was Park Life. So next, my number 6 is Vantage. So this is one that Stonemaier game had recently released, and I do have like the Stonemaier Champion membership so that I can get access to these games a little early. And I ordered a copy of this one and I was really excited. So here's why I'm really excited about this one. This is a scenario-based game. So you can play a scenario and it resets. It's not campaign. You don't have to commit and dedicate and remember, because I have commitment issues when it comes to games for that. But this is like a story one, like you kind of create your own adventure type thing, right? So there's a ton of cards in this game. This box is heavy, but you're going to have these different locations that you're going to visit. And it's going to be like, hey, so at this location, this is what's happening. Do you want to travel, go to another location in the map, or do you want to do something at this particular location? And you have the different action of what you can do on site. Now, you also have like these tokens you'll have collected based on dice rolls and stuff that kind of gives you extra bonus towards activating these actions. So you kind of want to have those and available to do, because there's a cost associated with doing the action. But if you have those tokens, you can spend the tokens instead of like putting the dice, and then you can assign some dice to your board. But then otherwise the dice will go into and it kind of ends the round, or you take damages for that. But you take possibly health damage, time damage, or I forget what the third one is. But so you kind of, and you don't want to die or you lose the game, right? And we all have this grand mission we're trying to accomplish, but there are some sub missions that we can do as well. And we've landed somewhere completely separate from the rest of our group. We can communicate through our telecom or whatever, but we don't know where we all are. But it's such a neat, interesting game. Another thing that was really great with this is we ended up playing this at Carla's campsite while she was camping. So there was no Wi-Fi. This is not an app-driven game. Everything is with the cards and with the books. Now, if you don't like flipping through and reading things yourself, you might not be a big fan of this one. But the stories were so rich, and then we got so caught up in like these side quests that were going on. It took us a while to do the main mission one, but the whole time we had a blast. It was great. And that was Vantage. So my next one for number 5 position for the month of August is Positano. I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing that right. I'm pretty sure I'm pronouncing it wrong, but this game was cool. So first of all, components are amazing. You have all these bricks that kind of stack and fit into each other, and then everybody's get like a different color, and it's like a selection game. So you're gonna bid on selecting, like getting first dibs on selecting for the different rows. So one's gonna dictate how many tower, like kind of levels bricks you can collect. One is going to be like on the roof you can put on, and the other one is on where you're going to be building. And this is based on the real location that's built like on the hillside in front of an ocean, and you get to score points for what is visible from the side of the building. So if everything is covered up and you only see the building in front of you, that building's not going to score because there's nothing visible. So you're trying to put like really tall buildings in the back, ideally, but they're going to also be up higher. So it's a little bit more likely. But then you're going to try to put tall buildings in front of the other people, so you're blocking them. The whole thing was so interesting. The concept was great. The play was fun. And we had a blast with it. And this one was a live playthrough on my friend's channel, the rathole.ca. So be sure to check that out. Now, I also got a picture of this game in prototype. And the designer was utilizing Duplo kind of building blocks, Duplo blocks. But, so that's just like a kid's game. And this is what he was using as components during his prototype for designing this game, and it fits so well. Now, I want to point out, I really appreciate how all of these blocks fit into each other and kind of hold on so you don't accidentally just knock everything out. But this game was so interesting. I really, really enjoyed it. So be sure to check it out. And that is Positano. Then in number 4 position, we have, and I forget, a winemaking game. So Vineyard, a winemaking game. So this is the latest game that was delivered by Roberta Taylor. I had backed this one up. Me and Carla both did. And we ended up playing, me and Lee, actually. And I was impressed. I really enjoyed the decision-making of this game. So you have 4 workers. We all control these 4 workers. These 4 workers got together, they're friends, they're running a vineyard. And we're trying to get the most, kind of like be the most useful person on this vineyard. But we're not an individual worker. We control all 4 of them. But you'll have different actions that you can activate. So, okay, well, I can go and do, collect grapes or plant the grapes or different things like that. And so I'll go and cultivate, and then I'm going to say, okay, well, I'm going to go cultivate with this worker, and then I move that worker to the cultivate location, and then I get to do that action. And then the next person, if they wanted to cultivate, well, now they can't go there with that particular user because I have used them, so they could use a different worker. But then, it's like, I was going to use her, but she's already there. So I can't use her there. I could use her somewhere else, so there's different things. So it's really interesting because you have like your grapes, and then you can kind of move them around in the first action. I forget what it's called. The second one is you're going to collect some of the grapes, and then you get to collect anything that has a similar grape or wild and move them down into the barrels, kind of get ready to make into wine. And then on the first side, it's just a single grape. But then if you flip it on the second side, in the, not the cultivate, but the planting, you get 2 grapes out of them. So then that's great. So now you have all these grapes in the different sections. And then you have barrels underneath that have certain requirements to make specific wine. So I was like, okay, well, I want to make a rosé, so I need these type of grapes. And you can't go from location to location of where these grapes are stored. You got to select everything from one storage unit to move into the barrel. So I was like, oh man, it's not there. So maybe you need to bring some grapes down first. But if it's all there, then you could be like, okay, great, I'm going to do this, and I'm going to move that down into the barrels. And then that barrel gets moved into the wine cellar where it's going to age. And then you can go and do the action of the wine cellar. So everything age, and you move it forward. And once it's aged to 3 location, then it's ready to be loaded onto the truck and bottled and taken away. And every time you do these actions, you get to put a little heart token that shows that you've kind of committed and put your heart into the business, and you get benefits for, being the one that puts more effort into the business. So you're trying to get your hearts out in the different location, and they'll follow the grapes, and they'll go into the wine barrels. And then as they get loaded onto the truck, then whoever has the most hearts per wine barrel is going to get bonus points for that. And then they convert into points. And then each truck has kind of special bonus points that'll allow you to get, it's like, okay, well, if you have the most, or if you have an equal amount, or if you have different requirements, will give you kind of more bonus points. So the whole thing was so interesting. And then we each have special abilities for all of these 4 different workers, and then you can kind of combine to get or invest into getting more abilities for each of them. And then you can also invest in specialty cards that'll give you kind of better value, but you upgrade your cards. And these cards, as you're utilizing the action card, if you want to do an old action again, you need to go and do some paperwork so that you can bring all of the cards back, which is also how you get an income, which is also how you're going to train and upgrade your workers or get these specialty cards. And then there's like one-time cards at the very top that allows you to do different things. That'll give you money or different kind of activate a different ability. So the decision making in this game was so interesting. I really enjoyed it. I hope you get to try Vineyard, a winemaking game. And then in number 3 position for the month of August, we have Power Plants. So this was when I had that game day at my house, and we ended up playing Power Plant as well as Raising Robots. And Power Plant by far is like my favorite KTBG game. I love how this game works. It's so interesting. It's so well designed. And then I have a deluxe copy, so all my components are amazing looking. So all these tiles are like these wooden tiles, and you'll kind of select a card for each. Well, you select a different, I think you're 5. So you're not going to utilize all the different plants, and each plant can have multiple abilities. So you're going to pick an ability for each one. And then these plants, as you add them into the garden, have an ability if you activate the plant that you add, and then it'll have that particular ability. Or if you activate all the plants that are surrounding the one that you had, each one of those are going to activate at a lesser ability. So it's a lesser ability, but maybe you're activating 4 different abilities instead of just the one. So it's really interesting. Now, this by far is definitely an area control game. You're putting your sprites or fairies or different things on the garden as well. And then you're trying to create clusters of the garden, and whoever has the most influence in that cluster, so the most fairies or sprites in that cluster, will score the points for that cluster. And then the bigger the cluster, the more points it's going to be. And there's like second position gets point as well. So the whole thing is so neat, so fun. This game looks great. I absolutely love it. And in fact, my friend Dave from rathole.ca was one of the ones playing with it. He's like, can I please borrow this game? I was like, please go ahead. So it's visiting over there right now because I think he was equally impressed with this one. So then on number 2 position, I have Wicked Christmas, the card game of festive chaos and strategy. That's right. It's the middle of summer, and I have played 2 Christmas games already. And this is because this is another Kickstarter that delivered, and I was excited to play it. And we ended up playing it on that game day that I hosted at my house. And this game is amazing. So it's a card shedding game. You're trying to discard your cards. And then once somebody gets rid of all their cards, then everybody else kind of scores what they have in their hand. And then, but it has like special things, and you can play like different groupings as well. And you got to follow the groupings. And then if you can't, then you draw. And then it was cool. This game was so, so cool. This is another one that Dave ended up borrowing. It is back home now, so I need to play this again. Now, my friend that we played, she's like, oh, this is like this card game that she had played, and it was like a re-implementation of this one, and I forget what it was called, but we had such a blast with this one. And then like everybody's like, hey, I need to take a picture because I'm going to need a copy of this one. And I'm doing a terrible job explaining it because I kind of forget all the details of it. Oh, but you do have 3 stacks in front of you that have cards that you were going to try to play as well. And some of them are face down. So as you play them, then it was so good, though. It was so good. I, being an Acadian, love my card games. And this one just made it such embrace quality card game that's just so fun to play, and I cannot wait to play it again. Then in number 1 position for the month of August is fishing. This is another trick-taking game. I played it for the first time at Carla's. Rio Grande Game ended up sending me a few games before FallCon, so big shout out and thank you to Rio Grande Game for that. And fishing was part of it, so I now have my own copy. And we played it again, and I was like, if you guys want to try these games, they're on my table, come and borrow them. And they got borrowed a lot because fishing is amazing. And this is another trick-taking game that has a neat spin on it. Now, I want to point out, I've always enjoyed trick-taking game because, as I said, I'm a Acadian. We play a lot of card games. I did not always enjoy trick-taking games with the spins and weird mechanism to it. It took me a while to get there, and I was like, whoa. At first it's like, trick-taking game is you win the most trick. That's what you win. Like, that's what a trick-taking game should be. And definitely I do enjoy those ones. But as I'm playing more and more trick-taking games, I am appreciating the different games. That does a little something different with trick-taking games. So if you're like, no, I just like pure trick-taking game, I get it. But don't rule all of these out just yet, because once they click, it becomes so amazing. And fishing is an amazing, amazing one. And I was so impressed with it. Now, here's what's interesting with fishing. So with fishing is you have the different suits that are the different colors. So and a fishing thing, octopus, or you'll have the seagull, or you have like different things like that. So highest number of that suit is going to win the trick. There is a trump card, and I do believe it's the green ones, but they don't come out at first. So you're going to play tricks, and then, okay, well, you win this one, so you collect all the cards, and they come into your trick. Now, each card that you win gives you a point each round. So it's good to collect cards because they're going to be points, and that's how you win the game after 6 rounds, I do believe. So that's good. However, every trick that you win, all those cards are going to be tallied up, and they're going to become your cards for the next round. So if you start with 10 cards and you won 12 cards, then 10 of those are going to be your cards for the next round. The other 2 are going in a holding location until you need to use them again for the next round. So if you win a bunch of high cards, that's great, because you're going to be able to win more tricks with them, ideally. If you win a bunch of low cards, you're kind of not in a great position to win tricks in the future. So there's that to consider. Now, if you do not win a lot of good cards, a lot of tricks, and you end up with 3 cards, that means if the next trick requires 10 cards, and I say if because it goes up as you play. So if it requires only 10 cards and you only have 3, you get to pick 7 cards from the draw pile, and those draw piles has better valued cards, and they have specialty cards that'll allow you to do a special action, or they'll have trump cards that allows you to break suit, and if you play that one, then you win the trick. Or, so you get these more powerful cards, and then the deeper you get in that deck, the even better these cards get. So it's great to win tricks because those are points, but you kind of want to not win too many tricks so you can go pick great cards into this card. Now, when they're in play, if you end up winning those tricks, they will kind of come into your hand, so you can win them later, even if you didn't pick them up. But the whole mechanism of the balance, do you want to win lots of tricks? Do you kind of want to win not too many tricks so you can draw a lot of cards and trying to win just the tricks that have high valued cards? It is so interesting. I absolutely adore what they did with this game. It's amazing. And fishing, just so good. It is just so good. And that was my number 1 for the game of August. So thanks so much for tuning in for this. And then here's all the 9 games that made my top 9. And then we'll look at the stats again. So that was 40 plays of 31 games. 18 of them were new to me. And I ended up playing at 4 different locations. And here's all of the games that I ended up playing during the month of August. So it was great. Now, you'll notice there's a lot of different pirate game, and that's because we also went to the West Edmonton Mall, and I ended up playing pirate games on the pirate ship in the mall, because you can rent a table for like an hour and a half, 90 minutes to play games on there. So that was just amazing. I was ridiculously excited about that. But thanks so much for tuning in. If you want to follow me, my Facebook page is Mel's Board Game Room. I'm also on Instagram at Mel's_boardgame_room. I also have a podcast that I do with my friend Carla called The Board Game Specialist. And of course, my YouTube channel, Mel's Board Game Room. So bye, everybody.